Let's talk about the people for a second. We'll talk a bit more about the political class. But
Yeah.
you suggest that democracy has become something politicians do, and I'm quoting here, do to the people, not with the people. But this only happens because the people allow it. But they know they have agency. In fact, our constitution, the preamble, is very, very clear. The power emanates from the people. So isn't it really a problem with the people, not with the politicians?
No, I don't fully agree. Yes, the people always have agency, but first of all, agency must be organized. It takes time to organize. In order to be able to organize, you need a certain degree. Agency is not just that I wake up in the morning and I'm a human body and I have locomotion. You do need a certain degree of ability to raise funds, for example, to organize. You're living in a country where 20% of the population lives in extreme poverty. There's 41% multidimensional poverty. If I want to, I'm a rural peasant, and I'm on my own, and I want to influence and get a bill in Parliament, it's going to cost a certain amount of money. A person who is just about able to keep body and soul together, who has real challenges with even supplying the caloric content that they need to survive, is immediately imperiled. The language of power, for example, is alienating. There's so many people in our country that don't speak English. Our parliamentary proceedings, most of them are in English. So already the language of power has excluded a huge number of people. So there are also demographic realities. The average Ghanaian is not you and I. I often point out to people, the average Ghanaian is a peasant, however much we try to disguise that. And when you look basically at income structures and so on and so forth, then you can see some of the disabling factors. So I agree that the people have a right to stand up, to make demands. They must organize and they must push. But there are also systemic barriers. Who consulted you about the amount of ex gratia that must be paid to parliamentarians? Let's use them as an example. You feel that you had agency, you could say many, but how much real agency did you have? Some of these things are done, there's a great consensus, they are done. And that is why you have now 70% of the population saying, we don't feel that we have an influence in the matter. It's not to throw stones at the political class and say there's a problem. It is a time for us to introspect and say, after 33 years, this is where we are. If we don't do something about this, it can go in directions that we don't want it to go. So we must start a conversation and together say that, let's begin the reforms. That's the other side of where then I become critical of the political class. When every question that is asked is met with, then you're in contempt. Contempt of the bar, contempt of the court, contempt of parliament. We need to be careful. There is a role for creating an environment of responsibility. So that people are not just reckless, make defamatory statements, accuse people of things that they have not done. That's unfair. But we must also be careful that you do not create an intimidatory climate that becomes a de facto culture of silence, so people are just sitting, because that is when populist mechanisms are able to filter through the interstices and create confusion in society. So I hear you. Look, the people, the citizens of a country, always have some degree of agency. It's never zero. But you can also create conditions in which the agency is significantly handicapped. Eventually it will express itself somehow. Yeah, but for a period of time, it can become handicapped.